Money-wise, I made around like $1,000.
Maybe we should walk in. Let's walk in. Hey, this has been my fault. I've neglected this channel. What's up, guys? Today we're gonna do a Q&A. Originally, I put this on my TikTok, but there was just way too many good questions. I want to answer truthfully as many questions as possible. Let's get into it. This plant is the definition of wilt. Like, it is so lifeless and thirsty. Honestly, I've had that for years, and every time it's about to die, like right now, I'll load it up with water, and it's just like, thank you so much. And I'm just like, I'll give you water again in 3 months. Question 1. How much money do you make from your projects and videos? I'm just gonna straight up answer this. I make no money from TikTok. I make no money from Instagram. I get paid from YouTube AdSense, so like the ads in the videos. And YouTube Shorts actually gives out monthly bonuses as well, so I do get a little bit of money from that. I make $0 from my art pieces. Majority of the time, I'm spending more money to make that than I'm even getting back. I'm not getting any money back. TikTok does not pay their Canadian creators. In the US,
oh yeah, we got creator fund. We make money.
In Canada, nothing. I've had videos hit like 50 million views on TikTok and like you make, well, because I'm in Canada, I make nothing. Hold on a sec. I have a new neighbor. And anytime I film anything, I hear them in the hallway like listening. It's weird as shit. Hold on. To answer your question, that's how much money I get per art project. $0. And like when people complain in the comments, I'm just like, look, you're paying literally nothing to watch this, and I've spent $400 to create this. Like, I'm the one losing here. How long did it take for you to go viral? When did you start? On YouTube, it was my 3rd video ever that went viral. I say viral because it got over 1 million views. That was like 9 years ago, so that was like a big deal back then. But I would say like truthfully viral, where it's like a lot of views in like a short amount of time. It'd probably be the buying every ad I see video. That one got like 4 million views in like less than 2 weeks. Money wise, I made around like $25,000 in like a week, probably about a week's time. And with that money, I went to San Diego for an entire month. It wasn't like the best trip, to be honest, but that's like for another day. Next question. How do you come up with so many ideas? I've been doing this for longer than 10 years, and idea creation is very similar to working out at the gym. You go to the gym, you lift weights. After doing it enough time, your muscles start to build. Idea creation is the same way. When I started doing YouTube, I was doing like 3 videos a week. So there was very little room for me to say, no, that's a bad idea, or I don't want to do that. And it got to the point where I'm like, I have to do it because I have no other idea. When you say yes to ideas that you've convinced yourself are bad, it's insane what happens later on. I've just done that for 10 years. I've said yes to every idea. Brain naturally thinks in ways of, oh no, that is a good idea. I don't tell myself no. If you don't enjoy a project, do you continue at it? Yeah, 1000%. I never give up on an art project. Never. Art materials cost so much. So like when you mix a batch of resin or you mix up the 2 parts of silicone, no matter what, that's gonna cure. So you might as well use it because it's already been like, you already paid for it. And that stuff is like insanely expensive for the quantity that you get. For me to give up on an art piece is like literally throwing money away. What video did you expect to blow up but didn't? Oh my God, this is such a good freaking question. I created a series called Shot and Forgot. Like sort of like the biggest disappointment. That was like my baby. It was so f***ing original, guys. Oh my God. Like that's one of the only times like I'll really like puff up my feathers, but it's like that shit was so original. I bought a whole box of old photos from the 1950s to the 1980s. And they were like slides, or like film slides. And I would scan them and I would go through the photos trying to figure out who it was, where this photo was taken, and then I would go on Google Maps and I'd find the location and like compare how it's different, right? Like I loved filming it. Editing took an insane amount of time. It was like 9 hours. So like long term, it didn't make sense. Honestly, what pains me is I go on TikTok and I see other creators launching like, oh, I found these old photos and like look how romantic it is. And like all the power to them. I don't want to hate on them because like they've probably never seen my stuff based on the views. But it kills me because these things are pulling in millions of views. And I thought for sure Shot and Forgot should have pulled in 1 million views. Easy. Hands down, that one. I still think about that all the time. And I want to revive it, but it's not worth my time. There was 2 others. The custom Charlie rug that I made, I put that on TikTok. Under 1 million views. Well under 1 million views. And I thought that one was like super, super cool. Then lastly, I partnered with Ancestry and they flew me to Paris, France. And I think because it was a brand deal, that sort of really did hinder it going viral. But they flew somebody from the United States, like an expert with with Ancestry. Flew to Toronto, came to my house. I sat down with her. She went through my entire heritage story, like how my grandparents, great-grandparents met and all that. And then at the end of that video, they said, we're gonna fly you somewhere. Are you ready? And I was like, yeah. Legit, like genuinely, I had no idea where I was going. Like Ancestry through emails, the entire process was like, Dan, we're not gonna tell you where you're going. It's gonna be a secret. Well, I think she said like, how's your French? And I was like, what? I'm going to Paris? Like Paris of all places? So then the next video was they flew me to Paris, and same thing. I knew very little about what it was going to be, but they brought me to the real locations of where my ancestors were. You know, like I spent so much time editing that to be like a movie. It was so sentimental to me. So maybe that's why I feel like it should have got more, but those three, they sort of I think about them often thinking, damn, I wish the world saw more of that. What's the hardest thing you've ever done? How should I answer this? A part of me feels like you mean like art pieces, but I want to take this on a more like personal level, like Dan Roto. The hardest thing Dan Roto has ever done, the human behind Danocracy, it was to live with anxiety in the early days. So like anxiety like punched me in the face in like second year of college. Like second year of college was the worst time of my entire life. It was because anxiety and panic attacks were like happening very frequent for me, like every single night. It was so scary. Oh my God, it was so scary. And anybody out there that can like understand what it's like to live with anxiety knows. And I just remember thinking like, how the hell am I gonna live through this? Not that I was gonna do anything to myself or anything like that, but I was like, man, like life is so hard. Is this the new normal type of thing? So when I look at like the hardest thing I've ever had to do, it was to get through that time. I had to be patient because I would go to therapy and I'd be like, why aren't I better? Like this sucks. Like, why am I thinking like this? And why am I so scared all the time? Recently, I've actually had a massive breakthrough. It was like a supernova, like life changing. And I never publicly talked about this. It's not that I've cured my anxiety, but I'm living a lifestyle right now that is anxiety free. And I never thought ever in my life I'd have this. Maybe one day I'll talk more about that if you're interested. Not art related, but how are you and Charlie doing? Like seriously, how is life for you two right now? I sort of just answered that. Charlie and I are super good. I genuinely don't have any sort of tough thing I'm trying to overcome in my life right now, and that is rare. To answer your question, I'm like peak Dan right now, and it is so nice. So yeah, we're doing great. Why are you putting more attention on TikTok and Instagram, but not much on YouTube? Just in general, this space was a place that like I really leaned on for so many years. When I moved to Dallas and I knew nobody, yeah, there was no sort of like goodbye. It was just sort of like not uploading for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Honestly, the reason why, I hope you guys can understand and accept this. What TikTok does for me in every sense, YouTube no longer does for me. I get more views, I make more money, I get more opportunity all through TikTok. Now, when I look at YouTube, I'm like, okay, I can spend 6 hours editing this video and have it get 2,000 views, or I can make a TikTok and have it get 14 million. Like it's so incomparable. I'm trying to think of a metaphor that won't come across as like super pompous, but imagine being like a football player, okay, and you get to play in the NFL and you're playing the big time, you're making all the money, people are watching you, you're playing the game you love, and you're getting recognition for it. And then you get sent to this other league where there's not as many people watching, the money and opportunity just aren't flowing the same. Naturally, you're gonna be like, why the hell am I spending any time playing football here when I should be spending all my time here? Like that is the closest sort of metaphor I can sort of give. TikTok for me is like a much bigger league. The amount of DMs from like big names that I get because of TikTok is like, YouTube doesn't do that, man. And I think it's a part of that is because my YouTube channel is old or the algorithm's old or something. The reason I'm back and the reason why I'm going to try to start making more videos like this is YouTube has community. TikTok and Instagram do not have community. It doesn't matter how many views I get. When I get recognized on the street, before when I was just doing YouTube, it was like, hey Dan, like I love your videos, and they knew so much about me and like my humor, and it felt like a really natural, authentic like meeting. That was so nice and special. With TikTok, I get recognized more, but it's like, hey, you're that guy that does that DIYs, or you're that guy that makes the cool art projects. It's always that guy. I get it, because there's no room for me to like do this on TikTok, so they don't really know who I am. And so there's something to be said. Community is like insanely important, and I want to sort of get back. How do you support and pay for all the supplies for your art? Great question, especially because I just said I make $0 on my art, so how do I pay for it? When you get a certain amount of views or like an audience or engagement, a lot of brands will want to partner with you and you become like the ambassador. I do have a relationship with Total Boat. I use all of their resin in my videos, and it's because I got a relationship with them that I'm not spending insane amounts of money for resin. There is like a trade-off, right? Next question. My camera died and I haven't used it in so long that I've actually lost the charger. Let's finish this video off. Where's my phone now? Are you single?
go.
Yes, by choice. So there is a difference here. In a previous answer, I said that I am operating at peak Dan. The reason for that is because this year I'm like, you know what? We're just going to focus solely on your growth. And so with that, I started going to the gym regularly. I got a personal trainer to sort of like feel better about my appearance, lose some weight, put on some muscle. Started going to therapy pretty frequently to sort of work on things that I didn't like. I started eating better, trying to go to bed at a decent time. I was doing all of those things to make me feel better in every aspect. A part of that was I decided I need to stop dating. It's going to sort of affect the other things I felt like, just knowing me based off personal past things. So I stopped dating back in January. Like, I'll still flirt. I've really drawn back the like pursuit of women up until only recently. Let's try it and just see what's out there. And there's like a lot of cool girls, and it was never something about them. I just found that towards the end of like a lot of last year, I spent really heavily dating, and I was like seeing people. Also, there were some questionable girls in there that I sort of like had flings with that I should never have even dated, really, just based off of their red flags to me. Like it's all a give and take, but there was obviously a few in there that I felt weren't good for me. When that started happening more frequently, I'm like, let's just get away from dating altogether. So yeah, to answer your question, I am single. It is by choice. I'm at a point now where I do genuinely enjoy my own independence and my own self and my time, but I do know the importance of having a partner and how fun that could be as well, right? So I don't know, like if it happens, it happens, great, but I could say right now there's no like serious pursuit. Okay, last question. Are you still planning to move to Austin? I was very public with this, okay, about a year ago. I went to Vegas to look at homes. I made a vlog. I went to Austin to look at homes, made a vlog. I made it a very public thing, and I don't think I should have done that. That is a big life event that I shouldn't be so public with because it creates pressure on me. That being said, I was ready to move, and I was ready to move to Austin. Last minute, I got offered a studio space. It was such a good space, like the space I have now, that I couldn't give it up. I was getting like a lot of high-paying brand deals at the time. To make the leap and leave the Canadian market, it didn't feel right. I was making the money. I had additional space. I thought, let's just push it back a bit. Not only am I like operating at peak Dan levels now, but like career-wise, financially, I've made the most money this year than I ever have. I don't know if it would have been smart to have moved when I did, and I sort of picked up on that at the time. To answer your question, am I still planning on moving to Austin? I don't want to answer this publicly anymore. I've got a big decision coming up in December. My studio that is in all of my videos is getting torn down to build condos. So I have to be out of there, and I'm going to be out of studio space. And I've got a few options. I sell this, I buy a house, I keep this condo, and I rent a studio for like $2,000 a month, or I move to Austin. So December is going to be a very eventful time. I know what I'm doing already. I don't want to tell you guys what I'm doing already, but yeah, I've got a big life change coming up. I'm excited. Thank you guys so much for the questions. I appreciate it. I'm going to try to make more videos like this to build a community because it is such a different environment with it. I love you guys, and I'm going to try to create more. All right, see you guys in the next video. Bye.